Hi and welcome to this short but informative webinar. My name is Rick Nusky and I'm one of two directors at a business called My Future Business, and the purpose behind this call today is to introduce you to and compare the original Webinar Jam and Evergreen business systems to the new version, the relaunched version. Now, this is far more than just an aesthetic upgrade. This is a complete ground up rebuild of the software, and they're just about to do some relaunching between August the 14th and the September 1st. So I am an affiliate to Webinar Jam, and the reason I'm an affiliate to Webinar Jam is because I have the fortunate position of owning two lifetime accounts, one for Webinar Jam and the other for Ever Webinar. And I wanted to do this comparison for you today so that you could see inside two live accounts simultaneously. I've literally got the original Webinar Jam open and now the upgraded Webinar Jam. Now, I'm sorry if you've got a bit of glare on my glasses here. Not sure how to get rid of that beyond taking my glasses off. I can barely see anything if I do. But I wanted to do the A versus the B and give you a bit of an incentive to get involved with Webinar Jam if you're looking to use webinars to communicate your message, get your business out there, get more subscribers, get more sales, and just do better with webinars overall. So straight off the bat, what you can see in front of you today is the original Webinar Jam. Oh, and at the end of the course, just stick around. It'll be as short as I can make it without glossing over too much. Stick around to the end because I want to introduce you to some special things that I want to offer you at the end of the call. So well worth sticking around for, and will save you a fair bit of money. So what we can see here, and I'm going to flip from tab to tab. You can't actually see the tabs at the top of the page, but you can see what I'm doing. The original Webinar Jam is this page, and then you have the new Webinar Jam. On the surface of things, they do look fairly similar, but don't let that fool you because they are significantly different. Now, we can go through the quick start. This is a clickable video link which will pop up a video. We're not going to be watching the videos. I just wanted to show you how
Welcome to Webinar Jam.
the differences will make themselves obvious. Up here you have a Webinar Jam on the original version that you flick over to Ever Webinar, and what that does is actually flicks you from one side to another, which now we're looking at the Ever Webinar. And if you compare that with the new version of Webinar Jam, it's simply a matter of clicking the logo at the top. So nothing much gained there, but it's significantly different in terms of the layout, and I find it to be far easier to use in this respect. You'll see that you have your typical My Webinars listed there on the original, and you can get your links and so forth. We've only got a couple sitting there at the moment because we often update them. And then we've got My Webinars in the Webinar Jam system, and then they essentially lay out the same way. Now, one of the big things about the Webinar Jam platform, the original one, is that it took a little bit of time to set up, and you can go the full bore configuration, or you can use what they've got inside the system, which actually is called the Express configuration. I thought this was pretty cool. You can get up and running with your webinar in less than 60 seconds. It's quick. They have some default settings in the system, which really saved a lot of time. Once you've got your presets inside the system all configured, you're up and running in a minute, and that's really important if you're a small business and you have limited time available to you. So let's just do one for the sake of having a look inside the new system in a minute. But just quickly to go through, the essential layout is the same. You have your account details. I'm not going to go click into there because that's really basically all to do with your presets and your billings, etc. Now, the on-demand system is the same in the new as it was the old. Now, that really is just making your webinar recordings available to others who are on the same on-demand network. So it really just extends your reach for more people to see you. There is a community section in both the old and the new. Support and logout is common in the old and the new. Really, the major new differences is this ability to set up in 60 seconds and get up and running. But there is another feature that I really am quite excited about, and if I can find it, I will show you straight away. And it's the ability to, instead of trying to go through each step by step and showing you this, what it is that the original Webinar Gem, basically the earlier version to this again was to do with, it was using Google Hangouts. Now Google Hangouts is no longer being used in this system, and the original Webinar Jam still uses YouTube. So if you have a YouTube account, you can live stream using Webinar Jam through to your YouTube account. But here's the clincher for me. The new Webinar Jam gives you the ability to use Facebook Live. It gives you the ability to use YouTube. And importantly, the new Jamcast broadcast system, that's proprietary software that Webinar Jam, the business, actually owns and has set up for you. And it's an incredibly powerful engine to give you high definition live video. And the new Webinar Jam system gives you the ability to do the live chat and take on questions and make changes to the webinar on the fly. So if you have an offer that you want to set up, configure and deliver straight away whilst you're in the webinar, the earlier version you would actually have to stop, re-edit that, reapprove it, reset it up, and it would take time, and you couldn't do it on the fly. And that's a significant improvement over the last version. So let's now go through a new webinar just so you can see how it is, how long it takes to set up a webinar using the Express configuration in this case. First of all, we'll put in a webinar name, so test. I'm going to keep it very basic here. Now this is really important for you to get right and set up properly, because the more time you put in the front end getting this set up properly and having calls to action and very clear descriptions, the better off it's going to be to attract the type of audience that you want to get into your webinar, be an attendee and take away some value. Now typically what we do is we drive paid traffic either from Facebook or Google AdWords or something like that, might be banner ads, to our webinar registration page, and they register for the webinar, and we track everything inside the webinar. So we'll get to that in a minute. There's a handful of steps we need to go through. In this webinar we're calling it a test webinar. This is a live test for the audience here today with us, and you can choose different languages, which is pretty cool. You can set up multiple presenters, and then once you've done that, you press confirm. At that point in time, you can either schedule your call to start either right now or schedule it at a time in the future that suits you, so that you can plan the delivery time of your webinar, which is really cool, because at the end of the day, if you've got an email marketing campaign going on and you want them to be there at a specific time, then you can either use your own email autoresponder, or you can use their inbuilt, and this is what we do, we use their inbuilt email service provider, which gives you some a registration confirmation email containing links. It gives you, hey look, we're 2 hours out, 3 hours out, 1 hour out, whatever it is you want to choose. We're 15 minutes away from starting. All of these things will really give you the the ability to make sure that you are in front of your audience leading up to the webinar. So we'll go ahead and we'll just choose Pacific time, USA and Canada. And we'll say we're going to run it on the 23rd, and we're going to run it at approximately 12:45 a.m. Okay, and then you can add others as well. This you can also have these in the new version of Webinar Jam. You can have these pop-up tips, which are kind of cool, but they can become a little bit annoying. So if you don't want to see those, you can just simply click it off there. We'll confirm that. Now this is by and large not changed all that much there in terms of the registration page template. What I've found, we use Thrive themes in My Future Business, in fact, to set up our own registration page. And at the end of this configuration, you can configure the system to give you a bit of code that you can embed into your own landing page that you've designed, and it'll pop up, hey, look, would you like to register for this webinar? And so that's fairly similar to the existing Webinar Jam system as well. So that's pretty cool. In this case, we're just going to look at some of the options here in terms of their template. Now this is what this particular one looks like. You go down, it gives all your bullet points, and it keeps it fairly simple. So you know you've got your message, and away you go. Now just going back one step, if you choose to do a live right now webinar, a number of different options will present to you, and this is the email sequence that they will receive. You'll get an immediate welcome message, which you can configure and change as you like. You get a pre-webinar reminder, and then a last-minute reminder at 15 minutes. Then after, you will also receive a post-webinar message, which informs them about the replay. So there's fundamentally nothing different about the system in this respect. I've got 0 emails and 0 phone notifications set up for this particular example. Again, remembering the intention of this short webinar is just to sort of compare the two and give you my thoughts on the differences. And that is it. All you've done is you've said, I want to run it now. I want to use this template. And once you've already got your autoresponder HTML codes and API keys set up, which is essentially you saying to your email service provider, hey, I want to capture a name and an email and send it to my autoresponder list. Once you've done that, that's a preset setting. That's as quick as it is. That is all there is to it. Now click what is next. There's going to be 2 types of links that they give to you. There's going to be a test webinar link and a live webinar link. You know, the thing I find about this new system is just the way it smoothly flows through the pages. It's intuitive, and if you look at the other system, it is, you know, by comparison, a little bit clunky. You know, you can do the same thing, absolutely you can, and we've been doing it for ages, years, using Webinar Jam, and prior to that, even earlier, evergreen business systems for our evergreen webinars, which is not really the focus here, because, you know, in case you don't know, the difference between the Webinar Jam system and the Ever webinar is one's live and the other one's pre-recorded, so you can deliver pre-recorded webinars. So the beauty of using Webinar Jam initially is that you can do your live webinar. The system remembers that you have that, and you can then transfer that live recorded webinar over to your Ever webinar system, and voila, there you go. You can essentially set it and forget it until things change in your presentation or your offer, and you come back and redo it. So that's pretty cool in that respect. Now you get 2 types of links. A test webinar, which is something I definitely look at and use. We just want to make sure that everything looks right, the words are right, there's no spelling errors, the times, the dates, the layout looks good. We check it on mobile, we check it on desktop, making sure. So that's really what we need to do. Grab your link. So again, fairly intuitive. Your dashboard, you go up to here, you go to your dashboard and you get your links, and it even takes you there. You just click that. And the old Webinar Jam simply didn't do this. It was a little bit more clunky than this, and this is why I'm so excited that they've spent the time redoing Webinar Jam from the ground up. So if we wanted to run a test, you simply run a test. So they're setting up the test session. Embed registration code, and this is what I was talking about before. If you do your own landing page and you want to put the landing code into your site, in our case it's myfuturebusiness.com, we would take that to our landing page. Let's say it was myfuturebusiness.com/landing page, just as an example. We would embed this, we're using our embed code tool, And as soon as you press save and you did a preview or you went live, you'd click the registration button and bang, there it is. There's the registration link to your email autoresponder, and away you go. People register and they automatically get the emails to attend the webinar. It is that easy. There are emergency links as well, and this is particularly useful in the event that somebody's forgotten their registration details, or they need a password, they've forgotten their password. You can even now set up webinars without the need to even have a password. It can just be simply click and away you go. You're in the live webinar room, which is, I think, a good improvement, because at the end of the day, they're the ones getting the email, and they've registered for it. It should be as easy as possible for your audience to get into the webinar without trying to remember passwords, because that reduces your ability to essentially help convert them into paying customers and help them out. So here we go. We're going to look at this one. What you do is you right click it, you copy it, and for the sake of it, we'll just click here. There we go. It pops up to log into the event, and that's as simple as that gets. They put in their name, their email, and away they go. So now I want to take you over to the replay recording section. You can set in a schedule for the recordings. In the past, you couldn't do that. It was just, you'd have to just take what you had in terms of the replay. You can add as many replay recordings as you like throughout the day, which is pretty cool. Now, once you click that, it'll take you to the replay room, and in this case, obviously, we haven't done the webinar at this stage, so there won't be any active replays. Now, this little icon here is video help, which is very useful to step through the entire interface. There's a lot going on in Webinar Jam and EverWebinar, and it can be for new users overwhelming, to the point where you just throw your hands up and go, oh look, I'm not sure what I'm going to do here, and you just walk away from it. I strongly suggest you don't do that, and I'll tell you why at the end of this session, and I'll tell you why or how I can help you get set up pretty quickly. Now, as time goes by, you will have a list of webinars here. Try to keep it to maximum 3, 4 maybe, and otherwise this list becomes unwieldy, and it becomes a little bit confusing just to try and keep up with. So less is more in this respect. Now I want to move over to, I'll go back to this one for a second and show you something else. Here you have your edit buttons, your clone buttons. So that's a really strong feature that the original Webinar Jam actually had, was the ability to clone the settings from a previous webinar to an entirely new webinar. Just change a few details, change your video source, change what you say and your message, etc. That's the best way to get that up and running fairly quickly. Now in the advanced settings, I'll take you in here and just show you what this is all about. You have again the video help, which is incredibly useful. You got goal tracking, one-click registration. This is a little bit more advanced, and if you don't have a programmer that can help you do that, certainly I recommend that you get somebody and we can help you with that. Get up your one-click registration. And API custom integrations, again, is another thing that you should get a programmer in to help you with if you wanted to go there. There are live offers for the webinar. So right now there's no actual sales that you can track because you've not made any offers. Now inside the Webinar Jam interface, you'll have a screen, and at the right hand side you'll have a list of attendees, and then you can schedule in or manually add through a click of a button, once it's been configured, an offer. It could be click here to buy widget, whatever it is that you're offering, or book a call. Again, webinars are supposed to be informative, educational, and help you position your prospects such that they get to know you, they like your offer and what you have to say, and it gives you that little bit of authority and therefore leverage, and helps them in their buying process. So that's that part. Now moving over to the analytics tab, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs. Quick Start, My Webinars, New Webinar, Analytics and Training. Don't shortcut on this. If you don't have analytics set up, you're really missing out on tracking what's going on in your webinars. Now, by comparison, the original Webinar Jam had this, and we primarily use Google Analytics. And for example, we will just show you what we're doing here. So in the past, I had a number of different tabs you had to go through, 10 in fact, before you could consider your webinar set up, and it was a little less intuitive than your new Webinar Jam, in fact a lot. So in here somewhere it would have in integrations it has the analytics, where you would take your analytics code from Google Analytics or whoever else you decide to use, and you would select the webinar that you wanted to put your analytics in, and then you would press go. And straight away you can see different buttons, video help buttons. You can look at inside your webinar, monetization, notification, registrants and attendees. So these are the metrics behind your webinar. By comparison to the original Webinar Jam, this is beautiful. The way it's laid out is just, again, so intuitive. It's clean, and basic users can quickly get their head around this interface. So let's have a look at traffic, for example. You can look at the unique number of visitors, how many registrants there were, live attendees who actually showed up, and the replay attendees. Now this is very much similar to the Ever webinar, so I don't necessarily think we should duplicate the effort here, because essentially the only difference between Webinar Jam and Ever webinar is one's live and one's pre-recorded. You still get the same metrics in the analytics section, except live attendees. Inside your webinar, you can look at what's happening, where people are engaging you inside of the webinar, how long they're in the live room, how long they're in the replay. And you know, this is pretty cool stuff, because it gives you a lot of metrics that you can learn from and make changes to your presentation to. You might find that 6 minutes in, people are responding to something that you say and they drop off. So you can see there fairly clearly from the statistics that you'll get on the screen here. There's clearly nothing here now, but there'll be graphs and timing, and you'll be able to quickly visualize what's happening. You might go back to your sales pitch or your offer and make a few changes the next time you run a live webinar, so that you don't say that, and you can test that and then watch how it improves or possibly makes it even worse. So another important thing here, you can add they can add ratings of the call, which is a new feature that I don't recall seeing in the original Webinar Jam, so that's pretty cool. And you can download the chat history so that you can follow up, because they might be telling you things that you need to follow up on systematically, so that you can make sure that next time you don't make these issues, or you offer something that they've been asking for, and so forth. Monetization is obviously fairly important. It goes and shows you your sales statistics. If you're charging, you can either charge a fee or you can make the webinar free, and you can link this to Kartra or PayPal or whatever your payment gateway is to see the sales from your live room, sales from your replay room, because you might get some in the live room and some in the replay room. It might be that because you're seeing so many from the replay room, you decide to make it an evergreen webinar and chuck it over into the Ever webinar system and see if you get the same results. Down to notifications tab. Again, this is how many were sent, the emails, how many were opened, how many were clicked. And you can click this button here just to update the statistics there. And this is fairly important stuff, so that you know when people are responding to your emails. If they're responding at all, they may not be. And registrants and attendees, you can look at, this will have a list of people who are registered and who are there for you to follow up, IP address details and so forth. This is a brand new webinar, therefore you wouldn't expect to see any stats in this page, but that's how it's supposed to be. So pretty important tab, the analytics tab. And then last but not least, before we move on to the bonus section that I wanted to tell you about as part of this call today, is that you have essentially a webinar university. In fact, how to master webinars. This is pretty incredible stuff. They've got the Webinar Genesis and Webinar University. The Webinar Genesis is a paid program. I've seen it. I actually have it. It's fairly useful. Probably not something that you will need to get. I don't know necessarily that it's the best investment, given the fact that they give you access to Webinar University. That's just my tip. So don't bother about getting Webinar Genesis. You can if you like, but I think Webinar University will give you a lot of what you need. Now, running your webinar, keeping your webinar private, all these different variables and things to keep an eye out for when you're setting up your webinar. One of the things that I would probably start off with would be go to the Webinar University. It talks about, opening up, telling people how long it's going to be, telling them that there's going to be something at the end that they really need to stick around for, so that they get it then. Just like I did on this call, I've actually gone through that training program and this works. But I think it's important for you to be natural and say, look, there is a process behind this, but the more laid back and casual, depending on obviously your audience, the more natural that you are, and the more times you practice, the better that you will become at webinars. It's one of the hardest things is to actually sit in front of a camera and do this. Just deliver a webinar. You know what? Just do it once and you can only get better from there. You'd be surprised how supportive people are of those who actually go out of their comfort zone and actually do a webinar. So there's a tip. I'd just get in there and do it. Get your Webinar Jam account set up and just do your first webinar. You'll be surprised. And here again is how to configure your webinar. So if I was to say out of 10, the original Webinar Jam versus the new Webinar Jam, I would definitely say that the new Webinar Jam wins hands down 9 out of 10 over the previous edition, which was in between 7 and 8 out of 10. They're both very good platforms, but because they're obviously focused on improving your experience and their platform, I'd have to say, given the fact that they've added Facebook Live webinars now, and the fact that they've still got the YouTube and now the Jamcast, which is the dedicated broadcasting video service owned by Webinar Jam, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't get involved with this. So thank you for having a quick look at the Webinar Jam system with me. Again, I don't know that it's necessarily useful for us to go through the the Ever webinar side of things. It's essentially the same thing, but for pre-recorded. If you want me to do a webinar on that, I can certainly do that on another call. But the matter of facts are for this call is that I'm involved with a competition, and in actual fact, I'm looking to win this affiliate contest hands down. And the only way I can do this is to give you a good reason to buy Webinar Jam through my affiliate link. So what I've done is I've spent time putting together an inventory of the things that I can offer you through my future business that I think you're going to love. And I'd love to take you through this particular post right now, so that hopefully I can get you off of the fence and making a decision to purchase Webinar Jam to access all of these incredible bonuses. Now, as you can see here, I've set up the bonus. Get $1,466 worth of amazing free bonuses by ordering Webinar Jam from this very page. Now, the domain URL for this is myfuturebusiness.com/webinar-jam-relaunch, and I will definitely recommend that you have a look at this, and if it helps you, I can put some more description on here. But for now, what we need to do is run through this post so that you understand how you can get your bonuses. One of the things that we need to understand is for me to be credited with the commission from your sale of purchasing Webinar Jam, you have to clear your cookies. Now that means that there's a bit of code on your browser, which Webinar Jam is a browser-based webinar system, coincidentally, that removes any of the last time or adverts you've seen from other affiliates for Webinar Jam, because there's an army of Webinar Jam affiliates out there, and if you've seen somebody else's ad already, there's a great likelihood that they've been cookied on your browser. So here, if you click clear your cookies, that'll take you to another page which actually quickly shows you how You can delete your cookies. It's not rocket science. If you're using Chrome, it's there. If you're using Mozilla or Firefox or Edge browser from Microsoft, they're all here. So, you know, by and large, you might be using Google Chrome. It's really not that difficult. It's just a matter of going through there and clearing your cookies. It's so important. So this is me. My name's Rick, and this is me with James Shrenko of Superfast Business. And on the right-hand side, this is Ryan Levesque and myself. He's the creator of the Ask method, and you know, that's a survey-style funnel software. And I just put that there so you can put a face to a name, and just know that I'm involved deeply in this environment. That's what I do. We do websites, and we help improve and optimize your internet marketing so that you can get better results. That is what I do for a living. And so if you see here, it goes through all of the details about the Webinar Jam platform and why you should buy it, and more importantly in this phase of the webinar, why you should buy it from me. Now, I'm saying this because I want you to get these free bonuses. And again, it's because I want to win this competition passionately, because not only do I believe that the product's exceptional, otherwise I wouldn't be promoting it, but I want you to start using webinars. I mean, webinars are not new, but there are so many people that are just simply not using them. And now that Webinar Jam has been relaunched, it's just the best time to get involved right now. And hopefully this particular bonus page will get you over the line. So first of all, there are 3 and some are unannounced bonuses. I've got 4 main core information programs. First one being Email Marketing Success, Successful Affiliate Marketing 101, Fast Track Info Product Creation, and finally Inside Outsourcing. You're going to get each of those programs for signing up through my link, which is lower on the page here, and they're valued at $67. I actually sold them for $197 in the past, so I've reduced the price because we've done so well with the programs, and we've now put them inside of our membership area. So the next one is that you get 6 months free access to the Better Business Builder forum, which is where those programs are stored. Now, normally that's $397 a year, but yours free, just as these programs are inside. Now, inside the My Future Business, Better Business Builder forum, there are other programs, including My Traffic Solution and other videos that are going to help your business. And I'm not going to go into too much detail of what they are. You'll just have to get the bonus so that you can come inside and have a look. The third bonus is that inside the forum, you will get one-on-one access to me to ask me anything you like about website creation, conversions, traffic conversions, optimization, and anything to do with affiliate marketing, email marketing, and those sorts of things. Now, I charge a lot of money for that private level coaching, and you're going to get 6 months access to me inside that forum for free as part of this bonus. The first unannounced bonus for this particular offer is a $50 cash back out of my commissions from the sale. So essentially, whatever the ticket price is that you see for Webinar Jam, I'm going to send it back to you in your nominated PayPal account. You need to have a PayPal account for me to do that. The second unannounced bonus is that I will spend an hour with you on Skype, sharing my screen, looking at your screen, and helping you set up your very first webinar inside of Webinar Jam. Again, this is pretty incredible value, but I wanted to, stack on the cool. I don't want to just, sell you this and walk away. That's not what the intention is. I'm actually here to give you value. So I thought, what else could I do to stack on the value? And that's what I'm going to do. So that's easily another $500 worth of value. So you can see there with the information programs, the free access to the forum, the private one-on-one access to me inside the forum, and the 1 hour Skype call with me, that all actually adds up to $1966. So with those unannounced bonuses, an extra $500 worth of value there. And to start that process, all you need to do is click this button where it says click here to buy Webinar Jam, and what you'll find is that will take you to the home page where you'll see a video, and Andy Jenkins takes you through the whole sales pitch. What I've shown you is the inside of that very same system that you'll get access to, so there's no surprises. Not only that, you'll get there and you'll know, hey, look, I've got an hour with Rick to set up my first Webinar Jam webinar. So that's pretty cool stuff. So now, to get these bonuses, you really must make sure that you delete your cookies. Can't stress it enough. Otherwise, these bonuses won't be available to you, because I won't know that the sale was attributed to yourself. So make sure you go ahead and clear your cookies. Again, I've set it up here. I've said step 1, 2, and 3, clear your cookies, and just click that link if the other one doesn't work, which it should. Then go ahead and order your copy of Webinar Jam from the button links in between these dates. And then finally, what you need to do now is actually just fill in this form that I've made on the page here. So you put in your name, or you highlight this button. It's not very obvious, but I just want you to confirm that, hey, I've set up my Webinar Jam account and I can't wait to get my bonuses. Give us your name and your first and last name, your email address, the date you purchased Webinar Jam, and your Webinar Jam purchase ID details. Now, all of this is so I can just check inside their Webinar Jam affiliate system, which is the Kartra system, that I can compare your ID and name and details and email compared to the sales inside the system, so that I can be sure that you're the right person, and then I can activate all of the bonuses that I've talked about a little earlier. And last but not least, when you're on this particular URL, share the love. Let other people know that Webinar Jam's out there. It's not only going to help the people that you know and want to get success with, to achieve results with webinars, but it's also going to help me win the competition. Now, I know that's not your priority. It certainly is part of my priority. It's not the only motivation, but in all honesty, I'd love to win this competition. I need your help. So not only that, down the bottom, this is what I'd love you to do, is to tag somebody in it, and all you do is you use this little @ symbol in front of their name. So if you know somebody called Steve, it's @Steve, and their name will pop up in the list. And also leave a hashtag MFBWJ bonus, and just go down the bottom here, and you can see I've just done a test one so that you can see what it looks like. And that way I will see all the comments, and I will be able to respond to you, and I can get involved with the conversation, clarify any questions that you have, and get you up and running with the Webinar Jam as soon as possible. So look, I've had a really fun short half an hour or so with you. Really implore you to have a look at Webinar Jam. It's obvious that there's this period of time where you have a refund. If you're not happy for whatever reason, just go ahead and refund. There's no love lost, but I definitely suggest you have at least a look at it. Get involved. All these bonuses are there for you, and I'll see you inside.